Welcome, students, for studying Kubla Khan. And in the previous video, we had done certain lines of Kubla Khan, and we have seen that this is a poem written by Coleridge, and this is a romantic poem, and its other title is A Vision in a Dream, a fragment, and it has romantic qualities like sense of remoteness, supernatural, and powers of imagination. And we have seen that in the city, summer capital city of Xanadu, Kubla Khan, the king, Mongolian king, ordered to build a stately pleasure dome, and there flowed a river Alf, and that river is a sacred river, and there that stately pleasure dome will be made in 10 miles of fertile ground, and there around it sinuous rills are flowing there, and the hills and the forests are very ancient. Among them, the stately pleasure dome means palace is to be built, and there we saw that from that sacred river the water gushes out, and it gushes out so very forcefully, and the outbursts of water threw a huge fragment of rocks that fell on the earth, and it seemed that these are the hailstones striking the earth, and it also seemed that a thresher or a farmer is separating the chaff from the grain. It seems the imageries are so suggestive and so picturesque. And now we proceed towards further lines. Line number 23. It flung up momently the sacred river we had done, 5 miles meandering with a mazy motion through wood and dale, the sacred river ran. And that sacred river, Alf, runs through 5 miles meandering with a mazy motion. How alliterative the line is, how the flow of the line is suggestive of the flow of the river. So, that river flows through a mazy motion and in a meandering way and a serpentine way through wood and dale, through woods, thick woods and dales, valleys, the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns measureless to man, and then it reaches to the caverns which are so deep that man cannot measure how deep the caverns are. So, then reached the caverns, the river reaches to the caverns which are very deep and they are measureless to man, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean, and that river sinks with great roar and thunder and with great noise to a lifeless ocean that is lifeless. In the beginning, there is another such phrase for ocean, we can see, and here the river with great roar and thunder and noise meets the ocean, and ocean which is lifeless. Here we can see such type of phrase for ocean. Sunless sea, down to a sunless sea. Means sunless sea means it's so deep that the sun's rays are not properly approaching there. So, sunless, lifeless, suggestive of the depth of the sea, to what depth the poet can see and measure, and the river can meet to the ocean. So, a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult, Kubla heard from far ancestral voices professing war. And amid this tumult or sound or such kind of thunder or sounds of water, Kubla heard from far. He was able to hear amid this tumult ancestral voices professing war. Since Kubla belonged to the Mongolian dynasty and he was the grandson of Genghis Khan, and to wage wars were their sole life, and he also drew inspiration and could hear the prophecies of war. And the shadow of the doom of pleasure floated midway on the waves. The shadow of the doom of pleasure. And it is suggested that the pleasure dome, the stately palace, would be so high and so stately that the shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the waves, that the reflections of the domes of the palace would be seen on the surface of the water of the river, on the waves of the river, floated midway on the waves, where was heard the mingled measure from the fountain and the caves, and there would be mixed sound would be heard, mingled measure from the fountain and from the caves, the sounds will be heard. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice, and this pleasure dome, this palace, would be a miracle, would be a thing of rarity, and would be a monument, would be a an ideal sculpture which is going to be built, and it would be a rare device where a sunny pleasure dome will be there, and at the same time caves of ice will be there on the vault, on the floor, under the floor of the palace. So it would have the mingled measures, mixed voices of sky and of earth. So it would be a rare phenomenon on earth, rare device, a thing to be surprised, and it would be an awe-inspiring palace. A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw, and the poet says, in the vision I also saw a damsel with a dulcimer in a vision. I saw it was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played. And it was an Abyssinian maid, the damsel, that maiden, that virgin girl he saw in the vision or in his dreams was an Abyssinian maid, and the current modern Ethiopian maid she was. And on her dulcimer she played, and she played on her dulcimer, singing of Mount Abra and in his vision, the poet saw and heard the song sung by the Abyssinian maid, and she was singing of Mount Abra. Mount Abra is an imaginary mount, and it has certain suggestivity of Milton's Paradise Lost Book 4th, Mount Amara. So here is an imaginary Mount Abra to give us a sense of romantic, of far, of something unseen, so that romance can be developed among the readers. And on her dulcimer and on her musical instrument she played, singing of Mount Abra. And could I revive within me her symphony and song, and by this, by the song, inspiration would be drawn to the poet, and the poet says that by listening or seeing that vision, it can revive within me her symphony and song. Her symphony, her music, and her song can be revived within me as well. To such a deep delight it would win me, and it has won his heart to such a great extent, to such a great delight and pleasure, and he was so amused and enthused by seeing that dream, that with music loud and long I would build that doom in air, and that would inspire the poet or any poet to that extent that any poet would be able to compose such a song, such a beautiful song full of symphony, that with music loud and long I would build that doom in air. And that vision will inspire, that dream will inspire the poet to such an extent, and his imaginations will be revived, and he will, by the power of his imagination, build that doom in air. Build that doom in air means build that doom in his imagination, and will write a poem regarding that doom, and will arise in the reader's mind, that will be able to arise such sort of imagination that the readers will see in the lines when they will read, and they will be able to visualize or make the thing real and feel the thing as real, and the doom will be there in their imagination as real. That sunny doom, that the same sunny doom which the king of Xanadu, Kubla Khan, had ordered, which had the mingled measures of sky and earth, which had sunny dooms and those caverns of ice, both the qualities, and those things will be able to be apprehended by the readers, and all who heard should see them there, and all the people who have heard them will see them there, will be, and everyone will be able to hear those sounds, those mingled measures, and should see them there, and will be able to see that sunny doom and those caverns of ice, caves of ice. And all should cry, beware, beware, and after listening those sounds and seeing the images and feeling the images to be real, they will be hypnotized and surprised and amazed. They will feel themselves amazed, and all should cry, and in that amazement they will cry, beware, beware. They will be cautioning us, his flashing eyes, and they will be cautioning the other readers or the audiences regarding they will be cautioning regarding the poet that this person is some sort of uh, some sort of magician. This person is his flashing eyes, his floating hair. He has flashing eyes, he has floating hair. Weave a circle round him thrice, and they will me in, weave me in a circle, threefold circle thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread. And this person will close with your eyes with holy dread, with some sort of uh, fear, and fear will be a holy fear. For he on honeydew, because this person seems to be a magician, and this person has some supernatural quality, and this person does not belong to earth and has comes on this earth from somewhere else, and he seems to have been fed on honeydew, and he seems to have drunk the milk of paradise. So he is given some qualities, attributed some qualities which are not for man, and this may be for some sort of superhuman or some sort of divine or God or supernatural. So the poet, by the power of his imagination, is able to create such sounds and voices and such pictures which seems to be real to the listener, and the listener or the reader of his poems think that these things are not imaginary, and they are so real to him that he creates some sort of willing suspension or disbelief for himself. So, such is the power of imagination, and such are, are the poets who have some godly and divine qualities to make the things happen. They become creator of the things, and they create by the power of their imagination the things which seems to be real. So, such beautiful poem this is, and it is a representative romantic poem which has qualities of romanticism, and one can understand how romantic uh, qualities uh, one poem has. So, students, just try to understand the poem at home and come with greater interpretation, greater reading, then we will be able to comprehend the meaning at a different level. Thank you.